Jamey from Stonemeyer Games, and I'm joined for a few seconds at least by Walter here. Walter is, I don't know, he's a little scared right now. It's really raining outside right now, and I think he's a little scared. Hey, it's okay, bud. It's okay. It's okay. But I am live today, not to announce anything about Walter, although I'm sure you'd appreciate that. Let me put him down. But to share that we have a new viticulture expansion, and I finally get to talk about it. That expansion is called the Viticulture World Cooperative expansion. I've been looking forward to talking about this for a long time now. And today's the day, April 13th. I've said for a while now that today's the day that I'm going to announce it, and that's what we're doing. So, and unlike normal, usually I just show this box and maybe I point out a few details on here, and I will do that today. But in addition to that, if you go to the link on our website for Viticulture World, you can actually see a lot of information about it, way more than I usually announce about a new product. And you can even see the full rulebook. You can see the full multiplayer rulebook. We'll reveal the solo rulebook later, but I wanted to give you a lot of information about it because there's still a lot of information for me to share beyond that. Because this is an asymmetric expansion, kind of in the spirit of Spirit Island, really, and Orleans Invasion, where you are operating in different continents. So every time you play Viticulture World, you will choose a continent, and you will experience that continent. You'll play a special challenge in that continent that are very asymmetrically designed by designers Mihir Shah and Francisco Testini. And so I'm going to reveal those continents day by day over the next week. I'm also going to reveal the wine crate, which is a kind of a big organizer box for viticulture that we've made that you can buy included with the expansion inside of it, or you can buy the expansion just by itself if you don't want the wine crate. A lot of stuff to talk about. Let me look at questions real quick, and then I'll jump back and start talking about some of the aspects of this expansion. Dusty asked if we can see the wine crate, and Dusty, I'm going to save that for tomorrow. Since I'm revealing so much stuff today, I thought I would wait until tomorrow to reveal, or maybe I'm not even going to say tomorrow necessarily, but soon I will reveal the wine crate, probably tomorrow. But today I just wanted to focus on all the information that I'm sharing about the expansion itself. So let's see if there are any questions that I can answer. Let's see. Chris says, will there be an opportunity to just get everything all at once? Absolutely, Chris. Yeah, the way that we do things is we have everything in stock on our web store. And so when you're ready to pre-order the Viticulture World expansion, which will hopefully be in early June if freight shipping cooperates, you'll be able to pick and choose everything viticulture related that you want. There are 4 total expansions, including Viticulture World and the metal coins, and you can pick and choose whatever you want of that. We're going to offer it all on sale for that pre-order period, so you can get it for sale then if you'd like. Let's see. Facebook is scrolling very quickly past questions. David says, will the crate box also hold the print and play games or just the essential stuff? Yeah, the wine crate is designed to hold everything. Everything that we've ever made for viticulture. Someone asked, is it coming to Brazil? Yes, we do have a partner in Brazil. Let me check to see who. So all of our localization partners who have signed up for this are, it looks like Brazil isn't signed up, but it'll be in Japanese, Polish, German, French, Italian, Korean, and Hungarian. Those are the localization partners who said that we can reveal information about, or reveal at least that they are making the expansion. Archer says, can you share how you found the designers, or did they find you? So both Mihir and Francisco submitted, at various points in time, they submitted kind of fan expansions, fan modules for viticulture. And I really liked the ideas that they conveyed, that they shared. And those ideas ended up in some form in this expansion, although evolved quite a bit since they originally shared those ideas in the Viticulture Facebook group. But when we started getting some ideas to have this expansion, part of which actually came from our French partner, Madigo, I thought, okay, these guys really get viticulture. I think they would do a good job of working on it. And so I reached out to both of them and asked them if they would consider teaming up to create the Viticulture World expansion. Chad says, is the blue and yellow color significant to current events? On a couple levels, no, Chad. Obviously, since we have this product that we've already fully produced, that means that we started designing it and making it quite some time ago. And even the production started well before Russia went to war or Russia tried to conquer Ukraine. the red and blue, or the blue and yellow hats in the game are the seasons. They're represented of the winter and the summer seasons in the game. Let's see. Ray says, was Beth Sobel not available? Beth is a very busy artist. I've had a great time working with Beth on multiple projects. But for this project, we decided that the best fit for it was Andrew Bosley, who I've had the pleasure of working with on Tapestry. So Andrew is the wonderful artist that we chose to work with on Viticulture World. Let's see. Ryan says, I'd love to hear more about the development of viticulture. I'm a winemaker for a medium-sized winery in New York, and I was so impressed with the realistic references and the theming. Is the wine industry something that you were well aware of before development, or was it something you learned about along the way? Yeah, so when I originally sat down to design viticulture, design a game back in 2011 was when I started designing the original viticulture game. I was honestly just looking for a theme that I thought could branch the divide between kind of farming game loving Euro gamers and people who maybe had been turned off by some themes found in board games. As much as I love like fantasy and sci-fi themes, I know not everyone is into them, and they might have not given modern games a try because of some of those themes. And so I wanted to choose a theme that branched the divide. And I did a lot of research. I'm definitely not an expert in any way about viticulture or winemaking. I'm sure you are, Ryan. But I did a lot of research to construct the original game, and we've kind of built from that foundation ever since then. Louis says, can you buy just the wine crate? So that's a good question. So the wine crate is a organizer box, and the first print run includes Viticulture World, the Viticulture World expansion inside the wine crate. The reason we did that is that because freight shipping right now and shipping costs in general are really, really expensive. And to ship a big box like that, we kind of have to justify the price that we need to offer for it to be sustainable and profitable by combining as much as we can into the box itself. And so that's why we include the expansion inside the wine crate for the first printing. If freight shipping costs change in the future, then we will offer that the wine crate organizer box without the expansion inside of it. Yeah. Tim says, is this just as big, if not bigger than Tuscany? The box is actually, I think, almost exactly the same size as Tuscany, maybe a little bit bigger. It's a little bit bigger because it, similar to Tuscany, includes a new game board. A new game board designed specifically for the cooperative play. It's reminiscent. You'll see a lot of similarities between it and the original Viticulture game board, but it does some really cool things as well that are new to this expansion. Let's see. Eric says, will the wine crate... A lot of questions about the wine crate. I will talk more about the wine crate tomorrow. The wine crate says, Eric says, will the wine crate be able to accommodate third-party box inserts organizers that fit in the base game box and also holds Tuscany? I think so. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't designed for those, but the dimensions are designed to fit all Viticulture stuff, and it's kind of a slightly bigger box. No, it's definitely it's a bigger box than the original Viticulture box. So if those organizers were designed for that original box, then they'll definitely fit inside the wine crate box. Let's see. Leaf says, is there a Rolling Realm promo with this expansion? No, we haven't done Rolling Realms promos for expansions yet. We just have one for each game, and Viticulture is the game. There is already a Viticulture Rolling realm in the original Rolling Realms game. Yeah. Wayne says, why not just make this a standalone game as opposed to something that needs pieces from the base game? We considered something like that originally, Wayne, but the whole concept of an expansion is that it expands the core game, and we didn't want to add redundancy. So if we had released this as a standalone game, it would have meant that anyone who loved Viticulture and wanted it would then have all these redundant components, all these worker tokens and all these structure tokens, glass beads. There's a lot of components that are used, the vineyard mats, all that stuff, the Viticulture cards. I could go on and on. There's so much stuff that's in the Viticulture game that we would have to then just replicate for this expansion. And so that didn't end up making sense to us. Giovanni says, what was the decision to have Charterstone characters on cards instead of more human-like characters in the Mamas and Papas? Yeah, so this is an interesting question. So what we did so most of the continents in this game are the continents of the world. But there's one continent in this world that doesn't have any winemaking that I'm aware of. Maybe they have something indoors, but Antarctica. Antarctica doesn't have a winemaking culture that I'm aware of. And so we decided to add a seventh continent based on Green Gully, a made-up world in the Stonemaier Games universe in Charterstone, and we were going to use that, or we have used that, as an introductory continent. So it's kind of an introductory content. So Giovanni, what you're referring to is art, the one exception to the art in this game, which is to make it clear that Green Gully is not an actual continent. It's kind of just this fictional world. We use some art from Green Gully created by Mr. Cuddington, the husband-wife team of Mr. Cuddington in that specific continent. I'll share more about that continent in the near future, but that's why that art looks a little bit different than the rest of the art in the game. Near says he's curious about the 20 plus components in Autama. Are those cards? Are there any other solo goodies? Most of them are cards. There are some tiles in there as well. Molly says, did you read my mind and make this game or this expansion just for me? She says, Viticulture has been my favorite board game for the last few years now, and I'm so excited to play it co-op with my wife. This is Molly's wife. That's great, Molly. Yeah, I appreciate your excitement. I didn't know if people would. I figured a lot of people, Viticulture fans, would be excited about this. But I know a lot of people love Viticulture because it's a competitive game. And the cooperative nature of this game, might not be for everybody. And that's totally fine. But we did try really, really hard. And I stressed this with the designers time after time that, and they stressed it back at me as well, that we wanted this to feel like you're playing Viticulture. You are playing Viticulture. You have complete ownership over your own vineyard. And you have that sense of growth, that engine building. You are building this special vineyard just like you are in Viticulture. With the one difference, the main difference being that you are also cooperating and you're trying to get influence and you're trying to make sure that all players end up getting 25 victory points. You can't win Viticulture World if any player doesn't have 25 victory points. So that's a big part of this game, this expansion. As I mentioned, the full rulebook, normally we don't do this, but the full rulebook is available on our website right now. So if you want to go check out how this expansion works, you can see it in this rulebook. Feel free to let me know if you have any questions about the rulebook. And I will, again, be going into detail about all these different elements like the new board, the new continents, the wine crate in the days to come. But yeah, I thought that would be fun to share with you. A lot more information than I usually share on announcement day. George says, can this expansion be compatible with Viticulture's Kickstarter 2013 edition? That's the second edition of Viticulture. What elements does it just need from the base game? I would actually say this expansion is highly compatible with those early editions. Mahir, I know Mahir's watching. Let me know, Mahir, if I'm forgetting everything there. But yeah, the reason for that being that this has its own board. And so some of the elements of the original Viticulture, the board and the vineyard mats have been slightly updated in Viticulture Essential, but because there's a new board in this expansion, you don't need to update the board. You just use the new board in the expansion. I still do recommend, especially if you have the very original version of Viticulture, very few of which were made, I recommend updating it to the Essential Edition. And we used to have update packs, but people stopped buying them, and so we figured most people were covered by those update packs. But the second edition is very close to the Essential Edition, and especially if you have Tuscany, the original Tuscany as well, which was part of that Kickstarter, which gave you the red and blue cards, the fields, and what was the other thing? There's one other thing that it added that we eventually added to the Essential Edition. Hector's asking for the price. We'll reveal the price when we do the pre-order, but we're not revealing the price today. Tim says, is there a slot for a standard wine bottle in the crate? There isn't, but that's a good idea. I don't think a wine bottle would quite fit in here. I'm looking over here because I have the wine crate right here. I know it's tough for you to not see it right now, and maybe I'll change my mind by the end of this live cast. But given that I'm revealing way more than I normally would with a full rule book today, I wanted to keep the focus on what I have revealed instead of what I haven't revealed. Let's see. Kevin says, and Archer points out something really important here. He says he finds it really cool that each individual player needs to get their own 25 points. This seems like everyone will be really engaged in their own game to help prevent quarterbacking. And yeah, kind of the model for this, again, I mentioned before, is Spirit Island. And Spirit Island, one of the ways that the game prevents or limits alpha players and quarterbacking in a cooperative game is that it gives each player a lot of stuff to manage. And in Viticulture, there's a lot of stuff for you to manage when you're running your own vineyard. And that is very much the case in this cooperative expansion. And then in addition to that, you have some opportunities, many opportunities for cooperation with other players. Chad says, if I purchase the wine crate with the expansion inside of it, will the expansion have its own box, a box in a box? No, that's one of the perks of us whenever so we're doing this with the Wingspan nesting box as well. For the Viticulture World expansion, you don't need this box right here if you have the wine crate. And so there is a nice insert that comes in Viticulture World, and that insert is, you'll put that insert in the wine crate. That insert is included in the wine crate itself. So you have everything but the Viticulture World box if you get the wine crate. Yeah. David says, will the localization partners also publish the expansion inside the wine crate? Some of them opted to do that. I can't remember which ones did. Some of them did, some of them didn't. Yeah. Andy says, what is my favorite wine to pair with co-op? I typically drink a variety of red wines. Pinot Noir, Cabernet, and Merlot. We just got a nice bottle the other day. Someone gifted us a bottle. So any type of red wine I'm okay with. White wine gives me headaches. Zach says, do you think calling it Viticulture World instead of just Viticulture will be confusing and make people think this is a brand new game? I don't think so, because I mean, we put cooperative expansion right there on the box, and right here we say that Viticulture is required to play it. So we try to be as clear as possible about that. Josh says, is this strictly a cooperative expansion, or are there elements that affect the competitive game as well? It is strictly a cooperative expansion. Yeah, we tried to just fully embrace this cooperative idea and went with it. I imagine that there is some way to use the board that's in this expansion in a competitive game, but that was not the focus of this design. This is designed for cooperative play. Yeah. Matthew says, will the wine crate fit sleeved cards? Yes, all of our inserts fit sleeved cards. Absolutely. James has a different topic here. He says, I thought I'd missed the registration for Geekway to the West. Geekway to the West is one of my favorite conventions. It's coming up in St. Louis in just about a month now. And he says he's signing up for late registration. He says he's thinking about going, but since I only play light medium weight games, I'm not sure if it's a good fit for me. Maybe I just need to go for it. I think it's a wonderful convention, James. I'd recommend giving it a try. And there's a wide variety of games there, both in the play and win and in their library, and that people can bring. You can bring your own games and play them too. I think there's opportunities for a great variety of games there to be played. I'd recommend it. I've had a great time there. I'd recommend trying it once, but it's totally up to you. I hope, but let me know if you end up making it. We can play a game together. Maximus says, where can we buy any of this cool Stonemaier Games shirts that you always wear? They're from a variety of sources. Today's shirt is from MeepleSource. We have a close partnership with MeepleSource. They're one of the few companies that I actually let print the Stonemaier Games trademark, the name Stonemaier on their shirt. But this is one of my favorite shirts. Their Stonemaier Games Viticulture shirt, and I thought it would be appropriate for today. I'm just scrolling through seeing if there are any questions that I missed. Oh, Paul says the actor Mandy Patinkin posted a funny video on Twitter last week of his family attempting to play Wingspan. Have you seen it? Thoughts? Yeah, a lot of people have sent me this video, and it's a great video. It's really funny to see Mandy navigate the process for learning viticulture, or for learning Wingspan. Sorry. Elizabeth also had a very funny tweet in response to it. Elizabeth Hargrave, she has a tweet on Twitter about it. Chris says, any update on the disc golf discs? Yes, so we Innova, the company that helped us make these custom discs, is working very quickly to get the discs back in stock and do a fairly large reprint of them. And I think by the end of this week or next week, they should have a shipping notification for us, shipping to our fulfillment center. So they're coming soon. They're working on them very, very quickly. Julie says, does this cooperative version help prevent the quarterbacking that happens sometimes in cooperative games? Yeah, Julie, I'm a few minutes behind, so you may have heard me say that one of the key aspects of this expansion is that you still need to fully run your own vineyard. Each player needs to get 25 victory points for all players collectively to win. And there was another win condition, or another thing that all players have to do involving influence to win. You can see all about it in the rulebook. But because each player has a lot of information about their own personal vineyard to win, and they have full control over their vineyard, then this is our way of countering quarterbacking. It isn't a limited information game. In fact, we almost recommend that players play with their cards face up. That's pretty important information for all players to have. There is a way that you can trade certain things with other players to help them out at certain times. But yeah, it's that idea where you have your own vineyard to run. You need to get 25 victory points, at least 25 victory points for the group to win. And in all the playtesting, that really, really helped eliminate alpha players and quarterbacking. Even if someone tells you what to do in your vineyard, you don't have to do it. It's totally your choice. You have full ownership over your vineyard. Rebecca had a very similar question there. Yeah. Kyle Locke says, will the wine crate be available at distribution or only directly from Stonemaier Games? At least the first printing, only from Stonemaier Games. Yeah. Giovanni says, will the wine crate hold upgraded components like 3D printed buildings and such? I believe so. Obviously, I designed it for the stuff that we make, but there are a lot of cool third-party things that you can get for viticulture. And I try to, whenever we do a box like this, like we did with the Wingspan nesting box, the Side Legendary box, I try to make it pretty flexible to fit a wide variety of stuff. Yeah. Matthew says, I noticed the addition of event cards in the expansion. I'm a big fan of event cards in games to add a bit of variety and flavor, but Viticulture already had that through the visitor cards. I'm curious what design purpose the event cards serve in this version of the game. I wouldn't actually call visitor cards event cards. I think of event cards as things that that are completely outside of a player's control, where you draw an event card and that event card says, this is what happens now, applying to the game state or to all players. And so I wouldn't say visitor cards are event cards. What we do in Viticulture World, and again, you can see this in the rulebook, you can learn all about this in detail in the rulebook, is that every continent that you play, so if you're playing the North America continent, it's a completely asymmetrically designed continent, and at the beginning of each spring in the game, you will reveal a card from the event deck. And that card is my favorite style of event card, which isn't typically, hey, this thing happens right now and you haven't had time to think about it or respond to it. Rather, it's saying, here's a thing that's going to be present or applicable for this year in viticulture. And you have this entire year to use it, to leverage it, to get it. It can make things better or to work around this challenge, this puzzle. And every continent is designed differently with their own unique event cards in that way, continent cards. So yeah, I mean, they work in a completely different way than visitor cards do. David says, will the pre-order work the same as Libertalia? That is extra discount in the first few days, champions fulfill first, etc. Yes, absolutely, yeah. For really all orders, pre-orders or orders, champions get priority. Champions also get a special 20% discount on everything we order. And we'll also put the expansion and all viticulture stuff on sale for all customers. The champion discount isn't in addition to that. For the pre-order period. Usually it's a 4 to 5 day pre-order period. We're aiming for early June. That's dependent on freight shipping as always. We want to make sure all the viticulture stuff is in stock at all fulfillment centers around the world before we do that. And then we'll ship almost right away. Yeah, we'll wait till everything's in stock at the fulfillment centers, and so we'll be ready, or they will be ready to start shipping right away in ideally for mid-June. James says, what's the primary source of tension that players are working together to counteract? Every continent is different. Every continent has a different type of tension, but there's a lot of tension in just getting all players to 25 victory points and getting enough influence to win the game. That's the other thing. That's the thing that players are doing together. They're trying to get influence, a certain level of influence to win together, in addition to the 25 victory points per player. Chad says, did you find in this cooperative experience that you can actively help and affect your fellow players' gameplay, or each player is solely responsible for achieving their own goals? Yeah, Chad, yeah. I love cooperative games where you are actively paying attention to other players and helping them and working along with them, and there's a lot of that in this expansion. The biggest way is a little tough to explain off the cuff, but you can see it in the rulebook, and it has to do with innovation tiles. And also, even the event cards that I just described, that there's a lot of player discussion that goes on around those event tiles, those event cards. But there's something called innovation tiles. It's hard to show you in the rulebook itself, but you are improving the board itself and improving how all players interact with the board using tiles that upgrade actions on the board and upgrade action spaces on the board. So there's a lot of discussion about how to do that, who can do it, who should do it, and when you do it, you permanently improve the board for all players. There's also a trading element. You can use grande workers to trade with other players. So whenever you place a grande worker in Viticulture World, you can actually choose one of several things to trade with another player. You can either just give it to them, they can just give something to you, or you can exchange two different things, or two specific things that are noted on the board. So that's a great way to help other players along as well. Benoit says, any idea if the French retail version will release at the same time? I don't know the exact timing. That's a good question for Matago. But I think it'll be pretty closely aligned to our pre-order. Yeah. The retail and the worldwide retail release date will be a few months after the pre-order, probably late July. Yeah. Let's see. Greg says, will there be a Watch It Played video for the new Viticulture expansion in the coming weeks? Indeed it will, Greg. If you check out our website, you can see all the different media outlets that have advanced copies of this expansion, and Watch It Played is one of them. So Rodney does have a rules video that I have already watched through. Mahir helped me watch through it as well, and we found a few little things for Rodney to fix. Rodney's great to work with, and yeah, the video is ready, and it will go live, I believe, on April 23rd. Then you'll see reviews start to come out for the game on April 25th, or for the expansion. Pablo also asked, will the wine crate be available in other languages? The wine crate itself is just an organizer box, so it's actually language independent, and some of our localization partners did buy some of these wine crates to include with their individual pre-orders for the expansion. Yeah. Jake Friedman, one of my disc golfing friends, popped into the chat here to say that he recommends the Castle disc. That is Jake's custom signature disc for that we made at Stonemaier Games. So you can check out our web store, check out the Castle disc to sign up for a back in stock notification if you're looking to try out Jake's signature disc. George says, is it possible to distribute some discs with Megan on the EU shop for the upcoming batch? She'd love to buy some. We are definitely going to send a greater variety of discs to our non-US fulfillment centers. I don't know if we'll send all of them, George, but we're definitely going to send some of them that we didn't provide in the original batch. Dusty says, Autama content is listed on the website. Was there any point in development where you thought maybe it was good enough to just have folks play 2 vineyards? A lot of cooperative games are considered solo by nature of just being able to play more than one player by yourself. Kind of the spirit, that's a great question, Dusty, and kind of the spirit of the Autama system, which is designed by Morton and his team at Autama Factory, is that you don't have to manage 2 players worth of content. You just have to manage what you are doing, and there is an intelligent, either an opponent or in this system, kind of an intelligent partner that you work along with for the Autama system. So I have a design diary post coming from that Morton wrote, or Morton is working on right now, that I'll share in the near future. But he may have considered that, but I think he'll go into detail about why he decided to do something a bit more robust for this expansion. James says, is the new board more like Tuscany or base viticulture or its own thing? And Mahir says it's kind of a mix of the two, and I think that's a pretty accurate statement. I keep looking over to see if I should pull it out, but you can actually see the board. You can actually see it in the rulebook itself. So you can see how the board works and how it looks and all about it in the rulebook, which is available on our website right now. Giovanni says, how will the solo gameplay be? Yeah, Dusty was just asking about that as well. It is an Autama system that Morton and his team designed. And they have a design diary post, and we'll reveal that rulebook and those components later next week. Michael says, I assume this will be Australia and New Zealand and maybe a few different states. So it's continents. So we have each different pack in the game, or each different continent is a different real world continent, except for Antarctica, which we replaced with Green Gully from Charterstone. Yeah. Reginaldo says, is the expansion compatible with the Rhine Valley and more visitors cards? Yeah, I'll read you something from the rulebook here. Viticulture World is compatible, but does not require the Tuscany expansion structure cards, the More Visitors expansion, and the Visit from the Rhine Valley expansion. So it is compatible with those elements. We have specified that about Tuscany, about the structure cards, because Tuscany, one of the big features of Tuscany is that it has its own board, but Viticulture World comes with its own board that you need to play the cooperative expansion. You can't use a normal board and play one of those other previous boards with it. It has its own new special board that we designed for it. Becky says, will the wine crate fit the original Viticulture and Tuscany, which is what we have? Yeah, the wine crate fits all Viticulture components. So it fits the full version of Tuscany that we had on Kickstarter back in 2014. It has everything for Viticulture. It fits all that stuff. It fits Viticulture World, More Visitors, Rhine Valley, and Tuscany, the Tuscany Essential. Yeah, it fits everything. Yeah. Let's see. Brian asks, can I show the wine crate organizer box? Given how much I'm showing today, since I normally don't show the rule book, I've decided tomorrow will be the day that I'm planning on showcasing the wine crate itself. Yeah. Mary says, is it played like Tuscany with 4 seasons or just 2? There are 4 seasons in Viticulture World, but it isn't 4 worker placement seasons, which I think is what you're referring to. But there is some important stuff that you need to do in spring related to that particular continent. Then there's summer worker placement. There's fall, which is kind of a passing season, and then there is a winter worker placement season. James says, is the gameplay complexity time more in line with base Viticulture or Tuscany? I would say much more in line with Tuscany, especially since you are upgrading the board as you go, upgrading the actions and the action spaces as you go. Yeah. Ryan has a similar question here. How does the gameplay time compare to a standard game of Viticulture? I would say, because of the discussions that you can have, the cooperative discussions with other players that are pretty important to your success in this expansion, I would say the time is a little bit longer than Viticulture. Yeah. Sam also had a question about quarterbacking and alpha players, and the main answer to that, the main thing that we did is that to win as a group, each player must reach 25 victory points, and each player has complete control over their own vineyard. Similar, just like in Viticulture, you have complete control over your own vineyard, control over what you're doing there. You have your own cards, you have your own workers, you have complete control over all of that. And it's a lot of information to manage. And so if you have someone in your group who can grok all of that information for everyone at the table, and for some reason they're also telling everyone what to do and what they have to do, and for some reason all players are still agreeing to that, even though they have complete control over their decisions, I don't know. We can't design around that. But we've done a lot in focusing that you still have to create your own vineyard, make your own decisions. You still have complete control over your own decisions and get to 25 victory points. It does a ton to address quarterbacking, as all of our playtests have indicated. Let's see. Just looking for more questions here. David says, we have a lot of new gamers that we'd like to introduce to great older games like Viticulture. The excitement around a new expansion will give us an easy way of bringing it out. And I think cooperative games do a great job of doing that. Inviting people in because you're all working together. David says, do you find the world expansion to be a good entry point, or should all players have a previous understanding of the base game? You can definitely jump right into Viticulture World. It will be a little extra work, I think, for the teaching player, because they're not only teaching the new expansion, but they're also teaching how to play the core aspects of Viticulture. And it might even end up confusing players a little bit as to how to play Viticulture because the board is different. But a lot of the actions are very similar, or the same even. And so I think I think it will be welcoming to new players, but there's definitely a lot going on, and I would probably say that base Viticulture is still probably the best entry point for any player who's completely new to Viticulture. Yeah. Joel says, one question, can we play competitively with some of the content available in this expansion? No, this expansion is completely designed around the concept of being cooperative. So from the ground up, every element is designed for cooperative play. However, we are open to fan variants, of course, as always. So as you get to know this expansion better, as you play it cooperatively, you might have some ideas of how to use these components for competitive play, and we look forward to seeing those thoughts on Board Game Geek and in the Viticulture World, or Viticulture Facebook group. Yeah. Mark asked a question that I answered earlier. Will there be a promo realm for Viticulture World? And no, it's not a new game. We only do promos for Rolling Realms for new games, and games also now from other publishers as well. And this is an expansion, so we don't do promo realms for expansions. So we don't have one of those. Oh, Carol says that she used her Viticulture new disc golf disc, her Viticulture disc golf disc this weekend. She said she had a great time with her son and his friend. Thanks for introducing us to something new. That makes me so happy, Carol. I'm so excited that some people might try disc golf for the first time using the Stonemaier Games discs, and I'm glad that you had a good time with it. Let's see. James says it took him a while to find the rulebook on the website. Would recommend making it slightly more prominent. James, I'm happy to do that. Yeah, I mean, it's to me, it's right there on the website, but in the components list. But I can add another statement. James, where did you first look for it? Because maybe I can add it at the first point where you looked for it, and I can add it there. It's pretty much in the same place where I put every rulebook. I link it in the components list. But yeah, let me know where you look for it, James. Maybe you're looking for it on a different medium, like your phone versus my computer where I'm looking at it. I'm happy to add a link in a different place if it's helpful for you. Matt says, have I considered doing a legacy version of Viticulture, or did we consider doing a legacy version of Viticulture during the design phase? Maybe Mahir can speak to that. I can't remember a time where we said we want to do legacy version. I don't think that came up as something that we were pursuing for it, no. Justin says, what was the biggest challenge with the design of this expansion? Really, I mean, one of the biggest challenges that I remember, I'll talk about this in detail in one of the design diary posts, was making sure that this still felt like viticulture. And one of the big things is that viticulture is a rewarding game. And the vast majority of cooperative games out there are fairly punishing. There's a whole set of kind of limited information games that are not all that punishing, but a lot of games where you're playing against the AI are punishing games. Like the AI is actively doing bad things to you, actively trying to win. And we didn't want to have that type of game. We wanted to have the same rewarding feel of viticulture where you're building your own thing that you are proud of. And where the game is constantly rewarding you with more and more stuff, and you're figuring out how to use that stuff. We wanted that type of a game, but to still have a unique cooperative challenge to it. And so that was a major challenge that we embarked on, that we tried to address throughout the design process. Yeah, took us a while to really figure that out too. And Chad has a similar question about challenging aspects of this cooperative design. Really figuring out like what made viticulture special. And there's the surface level stuff like the engine building and putting structures on your mat and the visitors, all that stuff. But there's also that deeper element that viticulture is a rewarding game, and we wanted this cooperative expansion to also feel rewarding, but still offer a unique puzzle to solve every time you play. Ryan says, the board doesn't have space for the Tuscany structure cards from what I can see. How are those incorporated into the expansion? They are on the backside. There's a note about this in the rulebook, that there's the backside to the board. We only printed one side of the board in the rulebook, but the backside has spaces for those cards. Yeah. Let's see. Thwan says, with the increased focus on environmental sustainability in board game, what do you think of using apps to reduce the amount of paper products in narrative-driven games? I feel like in role-player adventures, an app can replace the mission books and, in my opinion, make them easier to navigate. I'm thinking of Forgotten Waters and Destinies. I think those games do a great job of incorporating narrative into their games using those apps. I totally agree with you. I think there are many challenges that also come with apps. Just the development required to make an app is a very different challenge than the design challenges of designing a good narrative, writing a good narrative. I also think, I hear what you're saying about the environment, but paper in particular is a very sustainable thing in general. You can use recycled paper. We do use recycled paper a lot. And the wonderful thing about trees is that they grow back if they are harvested and forested sustainably. Unlike resources like oil, oil is not constantly being created like forests are, like trees are. So, and the one other thing tied to that too is I think there's something very different of holding something in your hands, looking through something, reading through a book like this, versus touching the screen and having that screen present during tabletop play. And in general, for me as a gamer, I prefer to turn off screens, all screens, when I'm playing a game. Even though I do appreciate the apps in those games, I like the opportunity to sit down at a table with Megan, with friends, and not have a screen in front of me, and instead have that tactile element of looking at words on paper and reading words on paper. So I think there are different pros and cons. But as environmental impact goes, I think paper products are much lower down on the list than plastics, especially disposable plastics. Yeah. Philippe says, I remember that you mentioned some inclusivity concerns with the original Mama and Papa cards. Can you comment on the changes that you made to address those? Absolutely, yeah. And there's more information about this on our website as well. So these cards are now called red and blue cards. We have, in the original Viticulture game, and still in the Viticulture game, there are red cards that only have women on them, and there are blue cards that only have men on them. And this is a very a kind of a classic heteronormative mistake that I made in saying that the people, they're essentially your parents or your grandparents in the game, and they have given you a vineyard, and the mistake I made is that only making women and men are saying that this is what a couple is, that a couple, a loving couple is a man and a woman. Wasn't overtly saying that, but was fairly indirectly saying that through these cards. And so what we've done in this expansion is that we've reversed these gender roles. So there are 20 new, completely new cards, like new mechanisms for Mamas and Papas, like new combinations of things that you get at the beginning of the game. And there are all the red cards are men and all the blue cards are women. And so when you shuffle those cards into the original cards in Viticulture, you have a mix of men and women on the red cards and a mix of men and women on the blue cards. And so you might end up with a male-male partnership that gives you your vineyard. They're the ones giving you your starting resources. You might have a woman-woman pairing of cards. You might also have a man-woman or a woman-man pairing of cards. In addition to that, you can see this on our website. We are also we're also mixing that up a little bit in future reprints of Viticulture, and we have a print and play where you can see, if you do already have Viticulture and you want to add some of the men and women, the papas and mamas that we're switching around in Viticulture, just a few of them, but there are some that we're switching around. We've moved 4 men from blue cards to pink cards and 4 women from red cards to blue cards in an upcoming Viticulture reprint. So that way people who get Viticulture out of the box don't have to necessarily go out and get Viticulture World to have those pairings. Yeah, I hope that explains it. It would be easier to show you, but there is an example in the FAQ on the Viticulture World page of our website if you want to see that. Tim says, have I seen the variant for Tapestry posted recently? I did see some variant about putting like landmarks on the board or something like that, but I didn't dig deep into that. George says, will I be playing Rolling Realms live today? Now this is my off week, so I did one over the weekend, and so I'll be back probably next Tuesday to do one. Yeah. Neek says, does the Essential Edition include the stuff from Tuscany, or should I buy both? So both Viticulture Essential Edition and Tuscany Essential Edition are completely independent products with no overlap, no redundancy between them. So if you buy Viticulture, you will not have anything in Tuscany. But so you can, if you decide that you also want Tuscany Essential, you can buy that, and it doesn't have any overlap with Viticulture. You do need Viticulture to play Tuscany, though. Tuscany is an expansion, and so it means that it just expands the content that you already have in Viticulture. Yeah. Okay, and James is helping me out with web design right now to help me figure out where I can put the rulebook link so it's clear and intuitive for people. He says he first clicked on the rules and translation sidebar. That took him to a different page. Yeah, that's true. That goes to the Viticulture rules and translation page, but I could certainly add it there. Yeah, I can. Yeah, that's a great point. I will add. Let's see where it is. The Viticulture Central. Yeah, I'll update the links on that rules page. That has to do with the Viticulture rules, but it is included in that sidebar. Great observation there, James. Thanks for letting me know about that. Mihir says, so the co-designer of this game, he says he did have an idea to make this a campaign with the continents, but it would increase the scope of the expansion by too much. Yeah, and you can essentially still play a campaign of this. So you can play the continents in order from easiest to hardest and just play through them and see how you do. But it isn't a formal campaign in any sense of that word as it's typically used. And unlike campaign games, you're not carrying anything over from one game to the next. Yeah. Jordy says, does this expansion take the game to other scenarios outside of Italy? Yes, yeah. In fact, that's kind of a major part of why we called it World. So you will grow your vineyards, you will have your vineyards in 7 different continents, with the 7th continent, instead of Antarctica, being Green Gully from Charterstone. But the other 6 are real world continents that you are creating your vineyards in. Yeah. Molly points out that there's kind of a comparison to the Stardew Valley game where it's not a cooperative game about putting out fires or solving problems, but rather achieving different goals and building your own special thing like you do in Viticulture. Yeah. Jordy says, have I played any other wine-themed games? I think Viticulture may still be the only wine-themed game that I've been really, really excited to play. There is another one from Vinos. Vinos is a lot heavier than the style of game that I normally play, but I do respect it as a game. I just haven't played it yet. Tim says, do I foresee this being the last expansion for Viticulture, or is there room in the crate for possible additions in the future? There's a little bit of wiggle room in the crate. I definitely don't have any plans. I think it's somewhat likely that it might be the last expansion. We definitely don't have anything in the works or anything planned, but there's a little bit of room in the wine crate if we ever did decide to expand it. And one of the keys there is that I designed the wine crate to fit all Viticulture stuff, and all Viticulture stuff includes the original Tuscany that was on Kickstarter in 2014, which was much bigger than what eventually became Tuscany Essential. And so there's a lot of stuff in there that I wanted to have room for and devoted insert space for in the wine crate. And so it has like a lot of extra room for most people that don't have that original that original Tuscany stuff. Yeah. Philip says, can the new red and blue cards be used in competitive versions of the game? Yes, great question, Philip. That is like the one main thing that you actually can use from Viticulture World. You can use that stuff. You can shuffle those cards permanently into the cards in Viticulture. Great question there. I forgot about that in answering a similar question earlier about what you can actually mix in here. Most of this is completely competitive, completely cooperative, designed only for cooperative play, but the red and blue cards carry over. You can be mixed in with the original Viticulture. Yeah. Mark says, is it possible to... Oh, Mark has the same question. Good timing. Good timing there. Molly says that she's been sharing this news about the red and blue cards. Thank you, Molly, for sharing that. And you can see kind of a photo, and you can see more details on the in the FAQ section of Viticulture World. I just realized that I should have been taking notes this whole time. My intention during this opening livecast is to take notes so I can boost the FAQ a little bit. So I will have to try to remember all the stuff that we just talked about. Although I can scroll through the comments later and see them. Allie says, have I watched Severance? She said that she watched it last night and we're blown away. I have not watched it yet. It's on our watch list. I've heard great things about it, but we haven't watched it yet. Jay says, have I watched the Viticulture-inspired roll and write game Wine Management? I have not. I've not played that, Jay. No, I have not. Ronick says, how easy or complex is this expansion as compared to Viticulture in terms of understanding the rules? It's definitely a step up. I would say it's on the level of Tuscany in terms of complexity and understanding the rules. There's a few little tweaks to Viticulture that you need to understand, especially how the workers are used slightly differently in this expansion. But yeah, I would say on Tuscany level. And Jordy recommends La Vigna, a small game about making wine. Thanks for that recommendation. And Colin says, have I shown the wine crate box yet? I haven't shown it yet, but I'm planning to show it tomorrow in tomorrow's Design Diary post, which I'll post on Board Game Geek, I'll post on our website, and I'll post in the Viticulture Facebook group. Now, I did have a few other topics to cover today. I can definitely come back to questions in a second. Recent videos that I posted, I did a video about my favorite Rondel games this past Sunday. My blog post was actually a guest post on Monday about art direction and illustrations in board games. And I posted our annual stakeholder report, a big report, a big behind the scenes report that I posted last Thursday. I had a great Instagram live chat yesterday with Rolando and Redford from The Board Dad. And I had a great chat last week about Terra Mystica, because Terra Mystica has been releasing new fan factions. They're actually on Board Game Arena right now. Eventually they'll be printed. And I designed one of those fan factions, the Atlanteans. So I'm excited to actually check that out on Board Game Arena in the near future. So if you play Terra Mystica and you're curious about the fan faction I designed and want to offer feedback about it to the Terra Mystica team, you can check it out. Check out the Atlanteans on Board Game Arena. I played a lot of games recently. I played Sulkin last night. I played Empire to the Stars for the first time the other day. Also played for the first time PAX Premier 2nd Edition, Rumble Nation, and Mind Management and Namiji. All first time plays for me in the last week or so. Also played Murano, a really nice light abstract game, and played Wizard. Played, maybe 9 or 10 rounds of Wizard at an outdoor game day that I attended this past weekend. Also been doing a lot of reviewing playtest results. We've been getting a lot of great blind playtest results recently. Had a quick team meeting at a local restaurant. We haven't had many in-person team meetings at all over the last couple of years, so it was great to get together with Alex and Susanna there. And chocolate of the day. I have a treat from a local cupcakery that I'm enjoying, that I will be enjoying after lunch today. That'll be my chocolate of the day. I wanted to ask you all too, I should have led with this question much earlier on, but are any of you active in any Discord channels that are specific to publishers or even specific to a game, a very specific game that you really love, that you really enjoy. Because I'm looking to do an article about great Discord channels run by publishers. Not necessarily thinking that we are going to go into that. We have plenty of other channels for people to hang out and chat about our games, but I'm intrigued by it and I want to write about it. And so let me know in the comments here if you have any Discord channels that you closely follow for other publishers or other specific games and why you like them, why those Discord channels are effective for you. Tim says, I watched The French Dispatch. It's on HBO Max. I have not, Tim. I don't think I've heard of The French Dispatch. What is that one about? Cameron says, what games are on your... I'm going to edit you a little bit here, Cameron. What games are on my shelf of opportunity right now? I have The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. What else do I have? It's not a lot. I have an Exit game that I got. I can't see the other ones. Just a few light games. I've actually done a pretty good job of working through that shelf of opportunity. So it's only about maybe 5 or 6 games right now. What about you, Cameron? What are you excited to play that you haven't played yet? Chad says, what am I reading lately? He says, am I still reading the Harry Potter fan story? He says he finished Exhalation by Ted Chiang, and he's about to read Artemis. Have I read those? I have read all of those, yes, and enjoyed them very much. Right now I am reading, I finished the Kaiju Preservation Society. That was last week. And now I am working on, I'm smiling a little bit because I bought a book, not realizing that I was also getting another book that I pre-ordered a while ago. I believe the book that I pre-ordered a while ago and forgot that I was getting is The Hunger of the Gods. It's the second in a series based on kind of Viking mythology. But the book that I just bought that was kind of hooking me from the preview is, I believe, The Court of Thorns. What is it? The Court of Thorns and Roses. Yeah, Court of Thorns and Roses, which is, as far as I can tell so far, a light fantasy series, but really well written. It's by Sarah Maas, and I'm really enjoying the first book so far. I'm kind of hooked on it. So, yeah, that's what I'm reading right now. Bojan says, will there be any hidden content in the insert of Viticulture World? I shouldn't have read that question out loud because there isn't. But that's the kind of question that's, I think, more fun to discover on your own than asking me. So I shouldn't have even read that question out loud. But no, there's no hidden content in Viticulture World. George says, have I enjoyed PAX Premier second editions? Excuse me. I've only played it once. I played it this past weekend. And you know me, George, I don't really review games. I talk about my favorite mechanisms in them. But I did film a video that mentioned several mechanisms that I really enjoyed in PAX Premier yesterday. And that video should go live in a few weeks. Yeah. Archer says, how often do I play two-player games? Do you play two-player games mostly with Megan or also with folks from Stonemaier Games? There are two people that I primarily play two-player games with, or games with only one other player. Megan is definitely a key part of that. We play a lot of games just with each other, whether they are two-player only games or games that play well at two players. And also my friend Henry, he comes over pretty much every week to teach and play a game with me, or multiple games, oftentimes for my YouTube channel, but also just as a nice... It's basically something that I pay Henry to do because learning a game takes a lot of time, and I am focused on my time on many different things, and I'm not always wanting to learn a game. Henry can do it more efficiently. So I do play a lot of games two-player with my friend Henry. Cameron is recommending the Button Shy. I'll write that down. The Button Shy Discord. And what makes it great? Why do you guys like the Button Shy Discord? And Matthew mentioned the Garp Hill Games Discord. I have heard great things about that one as well. In fact, I reached out to Shem about that one. He had some great tips about that one. Michael recommended the show Our Flag Means Death if you're looking for something light and funny. We actually did watch the first episode of that just the other day, and I really enjoyed it. It's kind of I would say a spoof on a pirate show, but it's based on real life events, which I'm amazed that some of these things actually took place. Yeah, I really enjoyed the first episode. Navia recommended the Capstone Discord channel. Thank you for that recommendation. Drew says the Cypher Unlimited Discord has been enjoyable. He says, Cypher Unlimited. I haven't heard of that. What is Cypher Unlimited? Cameron says that Mary Postas and welcome to. Cameron was asking about my shelf of opportunity. He used a different word. He says Mary Postas and welcome to. And he says he just got Creature Comforts off of the shelf last week, and it was exciting. I'm curious about that one. Yeah, I'm very curious to learn more about Creature Comforts. Wingspan, I think, makes an appearance in that game. Tim says that, French Dispatch is on HBO. Oh, okay. I have been wanting to watch that. Let me know, Tim, is the whole movie in black and white or just a scene of it? I couldn't tell from the preview for that. Yeah, I don't know if I want to watch a whole movie in black and white unless it's really, really good. Yeah. David says, how does the new expansion play solo? Can you play single-handedly or control two players to increase replay value? David, like all of our games, the solo mode is a robust autama solo mode, which means that there is an intelligent opponent, or in this case, there is an semi-intelligent partner in the game that you are playing alongside as you play Viticulture World. We'll reveal details about that soon, but it is a deck of cards that you're using to partner with as you play the game. That is meant to feel like you were playing with another human player without the maintenance of running a whole other player's vineyard. But the Autama team can speak much more accurately about that. Dominic says he's in a couple different ones. Later games, Viticulture, Birdwood games. He says he likes Discord channels because it's easy to interact with other players, ask questions, organize online games, and even playtest. Each publisher also has specific channels for games for easy discussion. Awesome recommendations there that I will have to check out. Leader games. Vital and Birdwood. Thank you so much for all these wonderful suggestions. And Dominic actually lists a lot of reasons, too, why he's drawn to it. I'll have to take notes about this. I'll go back through the comments later and take notes. Sirkin says you have to also read The Throne of Glass and Crescent City series by Sarah Maas. The Throne of Glass is ringing a bell. I wonder if I actually did read that a while ago. I remember a series, I think, by that name, but Crescent City doesn't ring a bell. Chet says, when I playtest new potential games, do I typically only play with Alan, even though the game probably plays up to 5? So whenever games are submitted to us, yeah, typically our first play is just Alan and I. And that's actually really important because we need games that we publish to work really, really well at 2 players. We will later test them, play test them, and kind of consider them from higher player counts and the perspective of higher player counts. And we do kind of look through it at that lens, even while playing 2-player. We're thinking, will this actually work well up to 5 players? But yeah, a lot of those first games are at 2 players with just me and Alan. Neek says that he has also read a lot of Sarah Maas, or they've read a lot of Sarah Maas. The series is based loosely on a fairy tale. And he just started A Deadly Education. Yeah, I've read A Deadly Education. It's a quite intense kind of version of Harry Potter. Yeah. Adrian says, Kickstarter's versions of games, or are you okay with retail? I'm not sure what the question is, Adrian. I do back Kickstarters, but I usually back Kickstarters at kind of the normal version of the game. I rarely go for the really expensive deluxe version of the game. I'm usually just happy getting the game and having it and playing it. And yeah, that's usually my method. But I do back Kickstarters. I also buy games from retailers and from publishers, at different times. Okay, Tim clarified that the French Dispatch switches back and forth between black and white and color. That's interesting. Okay, Drew clarified that Cypher Unlimited is an RPG system, and he really likes the Discord channel for it. Christoph says, when will Matago release the French version of Viticulture World? I think they'll do so. I mean, you'll have to ask Matago for their answer to that, but I think they'll probably try to time it around the worldwide English release for the game, which should be probably late July, if everything goes well with freight shipping. And Christoph says, have I received specific requests to create a game based on a specific franchise? In general, yeah, people have said, hey, would you consider making like this series of games? I talk about Brandon Sanderson a lot. So people have said, well, would you make a game in one of Brandon Sanderson's worlds? We've done a couple different IP games. The big one we did was Red Rising, and we did Scythe, but really we were part of the inception of the Scythe, the 1920 plus world as well, working with Jakob so closely at the beginning. So Red Rising is the main one we did. But we haven't. I don't think we have any IP games in the works right now. Yeah. Justin also recommended IV Games and Whirligig Games for their Discord channel. It's a great place to talk with the designers and just talk to people and also play games he loves. So IV Games, and I have to spell out Whirligig. Let's see, Whirligig Games. We're talking about Discord channels here that you like from other publishers and about specific games. David says, do I think the Castles of Burgundy Deluxe version is a good thing for the industry? Would you ever reprint a deluxe version of one of your games? Our perspective for our games is that we try to make deluxe, all of our games, we try to make them feel like deluxe games at retail prices. So that's our goal for all of our games. How do I feel about it? I don't know. I think it's cool that they are bringing a game to life that has had a lot of criticism about the art and graphic design for a long time now. A beloved game that maybe I think has been held back for some people by the art and graphic design. I don't think it necessarily needs... I don't know how deluxe they're going with it, but if they're going with like bigger tiles and different art on the tiles, I'm all for that. If it adds a ton to the cost by adding unnecessary components, which I know is very relative, that's one thing too. But I also think it's great that there are plenty of opportunities. There's so many copies of Castles of Burgundy in circulation or on the secondary market that if someone really doesn't like the deluxe version, I think it could be good for people who just want the older version, the original version, or who are happy with that version. Might be more readily available now with that deluxe version coming out. I have a few more minutes here before I need to go, maybe only one or two more minutes. Jeff says, would I consider giving multi-game contracts to well-known designers? No, I don't think so. I don't think that really benefits. I don't think that's something that we would look for, no. I love working with designers repeatedly. I also like finding the right designer for the right game and the right games for us. But yeah, I don't see how that would benefit. I think maybe the only party that might benefit is the designer. But even then, I don't know if it really benefits them all that much. So no, I don't think that's something we would consider. Bojan says, what is my favorite Brandon Sanderson series or world? A lot of them are connected under the Cosmere. I think my favorite series is probably still the original Mistborn trilogy. I really, really love that Mistborn trilogy. I'm enjoying Cytonic. I just finished Cytonic recently. Actually, yeah, I read that after the Kaiju Preservation Society. I finished Cytonic. I do really love the Way of Kings series. I think that's the odd series where I've liked the books a little less each book along the series. Like I really, really love the first two books, and I feel like the next two went down a little bit for me, even though they did include some really interesting themes and aspects to them. But I do love that world too. I think that's a really, really compelling world. But I think as a standalone trilogy, Mistborn is my favorite trilogy and a really interesting world as well. Let's see. Archer says, have I been following the updates for the new Ra edition from 25th Century Games? I have, mostly on Instagram, but yeah, I'm really excited about that. I have never owned Ra, even though it's one of my favorite games, and so I'm definitely going to be backing that to get it. Or maybe I'll use that as an opportunity to get the previous version of Ra for cheap if I think it still holds up, because I really do love the original Ra too. I have no complaints about that one at all. Tobias says, would I recommend Terra Mystica 2 players? I don't know if I've ever played Terra Mystica just 2 players. So it's hard for me to really say that. I think I would, but I like that it plays up to 5. I've played it definitely at 3, 4, 5, but I don't know if I've played it just at 2. So I don't know if I can say that. I'm not sure. Ryan says, would I consider creating a wine pairing for the game? Have I had any good wines lately? I was given a nice bottle of wine from Argentina recently, but I haven't opened it up yet. I don't have necessarily a good wine pairing, but I think the fun is that as you play each continent in this game, because there are different continents that you play in the game, that every time you play a new continent, you can drink a bottle of wine from that specific continent. Yeah. I look forward to seeing some of the wine pairings people choose for the game. Jamey says that she's reading the Poppy Wars. Poppy Wars is a great series, Jamey. I'm glad you found that one. Yeah, I really, really enjoyed that one recently. And I should probably go in a second, but let's see. Megan says, I wanted to say that she's in Greece right now on Navy duty, and she found a fellow Viticulture fan last week. We played on Friday and ate baklava while playing. Oh, two of my favorite things there. Viticulture, games, baklava. She was ecstatic because she doesn't have a gaming group here, and I was too. Megan, thank you for your service, and yeah, thanks for playing Viticulture halfway around the world. That's awesome, playing Viticulture over in Greece. I should probably take off now. I think I probably have some emails, some questions about Viticulture World. Thank you so much for your time and your questions today. And keep your eyes on the Viticulture Facebook group and Board Game Geek and our website. That's where I'll be posting all the design diary reveals for Viticulture World. But of course, we did post the full rulebook, the full multiplayer rulebook right away. So you can go read the full rulebook, digest it, absorb it, or you can wait till next Saturday and just watch it on Watch It Played. But the full rulebook is available for you to uncover and discover. And I look forward to sharing more soon. All right, have a great day. I'll be back on video next Wednesday, but of course in the Design Diary post starting tomorrow. Take care. Bye.